The reform rush continues. It looks like the government is on an overdrive because tax exemptions are on their way out. The government today released a roadmap for a phased withdrawal of all corporate tax exemptions. This will be done alongside a step-by-step reduction in corporate tax to 25% from the current 30% as was promised by the finance minister in his first full-year budget. Now, while releasing the blueprint, the Central Board of Direct Taxes, that's the nodal authority for direct taxes, did say that all profit-linked, investment-linked and area-based deductions will be phased out for both corporate and non-corporate taxpayers. All exemptions where there is no terminal date will cease to exist after the 1st of April 2017. What's more, there will be no extension to any sunset clause, come what may.
Now, for industry, it's a mixed bag. While the reduction in tax rates will boost the bottom line of companies, the withdrawal of all exemptions will reduce their maneuverability when it comes to tax management. The move is part of a big tax reform, which of course was unveiled by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley while presenting the FY16 budget. The government's big push on tax reforms is our big story tonight.
The changes that we are proposing are quite important and significant for our business community. We have, of course, said all along since, in fact, the budget that we intend to proceed in this manner, that we will be putting a roadmap in front of the public so that they can comment. And obviously, we will take all of that into account as we establish the roadmap. So hopefully everybody will study it closely and provide us good feedback on it.
It's a complicated story, and to really put things into perspective for us, we've got two eminent tax advisors who are joining in live here on Business Tonight this evening. Puneet Shah, tax partner at Dhruva Advisors, and Daksha Bakshi, she's executive director at Khaitan and Company. Both of you, thanks so much for taking time out for us. Puneet, let me begin by asking you, today's move by the CBDT, as most experts are saying, is in line with what we heard the finance minister say in the budget about how the government is looking to gradually reduce the corporate tax rate from 30% to 25%. Do you believe that India Inc. will perhaps look at this as a, refreshingly inclusive step by the government to take stakeholders on board when it comes to crucial tax policies? Because, one thing's for sure, the intent from the government, seems sound, and we've seen them move pretty quickly on it.
I would completely agree with that proposition, that there is a lot of transparency, there's a lot of consultation before bringing on some of these very, very crucial amendments. The finance minister did talk about that this is coming. The tax exemptions are going away, the tax incentives are going away, the tax rate is coming down from 30% to 25%. It is a very, very big thing. It's a very, very crucial reform. And I think the process of consultation, which has been there for last several years, has been really, really demonstrated, and therefore it's a very, very positive step in the right direction. Of course, they have just given some 15 days for the stakeholders to come back with their comments, which I feel is very short, and therefore that needs to be extended. But subject to that, I think it's a very crucial step. There's a process of consultation. As you mentioned, there is a certainty now, a long-term certainty over a period of next 5 years, next 7 years. The stakeholders would know that what deductions are available to them, what are not available to them, what would be the tax rate. It's not a yearly process now, it's like a rolling process over a period of next 4 to 5 years. So, a lot of certainty, a lot of simplification, clearly. Some of the deductions going away would certainly reduce a lot of ambiguity. It would reduce, to some extent, some litigation as well, to my mind. So, clearly a step in right direction.
We'll take over the litigation and whether it's going to boost investments in just a moment from now, because this is going to make our tax rates more competitive with the rest of the world, at least the ASEAN world. But Daksha, if I may come to you, and let's talk about specifics one by one. The first proposal really is that it's going to phase out profit-linked and area-linked exemptions. As far as phasing out tax holidays is concerned, the one in SEZs gets directly impacted by this. Now, SEZs have been out of fashion considering MAT was levied on them. What really happens to investments there? Because of the many area-linked investments, I'm presuming SEZs get impacted the most, and some of your big IT giants continue to work there, and of course the export-oriented units also.
Well, yes, of course, they will be losing that impact. But what they have said is that if it is set up by the 1/4/17 or 31/3/17, then they will continue to have that. So a very reasonably long period of time has been given to them for them to become more profitable in terms of how they operate and all of that, and also factor that fact into their cost base, construction, and into the manner in which they want to take their profits back and earn their profits. So it is a kind of a reasonably long rope given to even SEZs for them to plan their investments. And it's not that from the 31/3/2017 all the exemptions are stopping. It's 10 years, 15 years after 31/3/17 that it is going to happen. So currently what used to happen is that as and whenever you set up in SEZs, for 15 years, you had that calibrated tax exemption available. Now it is that if you set up by that date, you will have 15 years. So there is a certain type of certainty which is available that it is within 15 years you will get this much. Thereafter, you don't have it. And as you very rightly pointed out, MAT had already reduced the impact of the deductions that they were having. So it's just a matter of readjusting and realigning the manner in which they make their investments and the manner in which they do the business. But what is very important is that this should also reduce the uncertainty that arises out of litigation. The fact that a lot of times certain deductions claimed by the taxpayer are not allowed because of certain interpretational issues, etc. So that kind of uncertainty should reduce significantly.
I'm going to talk about uncertainties and litigation in just a while, but Puneet, if I may throw this one at you. The second proposal by the government, and this one is about no weighted deduction with effect from the 1st of April 2017. It directly impacts R&D done by most pharma companies, because pharma guys were the people who are really benefiting and leveraging this particular clause here. Do you think this is going to at all have a diminishing effect on pharma, if I may, kind of a discouraging impact on R&D?
I would think so, and I've been thinking very hard about some of these proposals which they've made, because and trying to figure out as to whether this is going to be thumbs up by the industry, this is going to have a mixed bag, this is going to actually adversely impact some of the companies, and there is no right answer to that. But if you look at pharma or any other industry which heavily dependent on research and development, I would tend to believe that that it would certainly discourage this kind of expense spent by the industry, because there is no longer a weighted deduction. Of course, you do get a normal tax deduction on whatever amount you spend, but there is no additional incentive for the pharma companies or any such companies to spend extra on this, because there is no weighted deduction now. So clearly it does impact negatively their ability or their inclination to spend on scientific research and development. It includes donation to universities, it includes donation to the companies, it includes in-house scientific research. Several of those weighted deductions will now go away. So definitely one needs to see the impact of it in terms of the reduced tax rate vis-a-vis reduced weighted deduction. It may also be inconsistent, to my mind, to Make in India or even Digital India concepts which the government of India has been talking about, because there will be less spend on some of these aspects, and whether it would actually impact some of these concepts or some of these propositions which government is advocating, and may discourage companies to spend more on this.
Dakshin, let me ask you then, not just about, sector specific, but the overall impact on India Inc. Because there's one argument to be made that it's going to be a while before we see, the investment cycle pick up, demand continues to remain sluggish. So you've got that. You've got corporate earnings, which haven't quite panned out the way industry would have liked them to. And then on the other hand, you've got the government here going ahead and pulling the plug on exemptions. Is that at all a worry, you think?
Well, in a manner of speaking, it is a worry. And also, I would say that it is also a little less of a worry, because now the companies can focus more on how they become profitable by being innovative, by being more efficient, the productivity, etc. And if I may just expand this aspect to something else as well. Let's say if all of this is coupled with the rollout of Goods and Services Tax Act, then you have a situation where the entire value chain that you have with you is going to be really much less tax heavy. And you will also have less of litigation to worry about, because you're not going to have to fight for every single type of deduction that you have. Currently, what do we have? We have a lot of deductions, but if you look at the litigation that are there, every single deduction that a taxpayer claims is looked upon with great deal of skepticism by the tax officer, and he would like to find some reason to say that that should not be allowed, and that's how it all results in litigation. So if that kind of effort that the companies have to make to protect their tax deductions goes away and moves into the direction of focusing on their business, the manner in which they do the business, I think it's a paradigm shift of the way businesses operate. And my view to this is that if the tax rate is getting reduced, now look at it this way, we want the tax rate to be reduced on the one hand, so government is not going to be able to give up its revenue altogether until, as you rightly pointed out, until the actual profitability of the companies increases.
Right.
So if the government is giving up 1 percentage point of tax rate, of the corporate tax rate, then where is it going to make up for that? So it's going to have to reduce some of these deductions. And does the government actually get those benefits by reducing, by giving this? And I mean, these deductions have been there for n number of years. How many more factories and manufacturing units, etc., that we have seen in the Northeast, despite the fact that these deductions were available? So the point is that when businesses make business decisions, they are not necessarily dependent only on tax deductions that are available or exemptions that are available. They are based on a variety of things. So if we improve the manner in which business is done in India, I don't think reducing this kind of exemptions and deductions is necessarily going to impact the decision for anyone to set up a manufacturing unit in a state A or state B.
Okay, we'll just talk about that a little bit more. But Puneet, I want to bring back the discussion to the point that both of you were making about litigation. Going through what we've at least seen in the proposals so far, whatever happens to litigation that is going on under all these clauses, do you believe that there is enough clarity on how that aspect will be tackled?
I would believe yes, especially because some of these exemptions are anyway going away. So clearly there is no discussion or there is no litigation with the tax office in terms of whether a unit is eligible for a particular incentive, a unit is eligible for particular exemption. If a weighted deduction is claimed on a particular expenditure, whether the expense claim is actually eligible, what should be the percentage, whether it's 1x, whether it is 1.7x, whether it is 2x. So there are multiple litigations today currently with the tax office by most of the taxpayers who are claiming these exemptions, huge litigation I would say, and therefore clearly going forward there would be lesser litigation on this particular aspects. There is I would say again as a plus point, there is no retrospective amendment. I think one should consider that there is no retrospective amendment. There is enough notice given in terms of taking away these exemptions. It is not said that the exemption will go away from 1st April 2017. What is said is that the commencement of business should happen by 1st April 2017, otherwise the exemption will not be available. So if the business is commenced on 1st April 2017, obviously you will get for exemption for next 10 years or next 15 years. So a certainty clearly is available to the taxpayers, those who are claiming these exemptions, and there is no retrospective amendment, and therefore to my mind clearly the litigation would go down. Obviously whether it is beneficial or not is a different point for discussion.
All right, there are many points of discussion, but we're completely out of time here. Daksha and Puneet, thank you very much for taking time out this Friday evening and joining us.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.